You know what your state emissions inspector really is? A debt collector in a government uniform. He is not there to clean the air. He is there to scan your 1994 Honda Civic, watch the computer throw 17 false codes because some sensor got wet 3 winters ago, and hand you a repair order that costs more than the car is worth. Meanwhile, the 2024 diesel truck idling in the next lane, the one with the particulate filter that clogs every 8,000 miles and regenerates by dumping raw diesel into the exhaust, that truck passes because it has the right software handshake, because it talks to their machine in the language they approve of. This is not about emissions, this is about compliance architecture. And right now, 12 states are quietly rewriting the rules to close the last escape hatch. They call it modernizing the exemption threshold. What they mean is simple. They want to drag pre-1996 vehicles, the ones too old for OBD2 scanning, back into the inspection lane. No more grandfathered status, no more visual-only safety checks. They want those cars plugged in, flashed, and failed. Because a failed car gets towed to a salvage yard, and a salvage yard feeds the new car market, and the new car market feeds the state tax coffers and the dealership lobbyists who write the campaign checks.
But here is what the bureaucrats in Sacramento and Albany and Austin are not advertising. There is a 3-word phrase that still works. It still stops them cold. And if you own anything built before 1996, a 1995 Miata, a 1985 Chevy C10, a 1993 Ford Ranger with the indestructible 2.3L Lima, you need to memorize it before your next registration notice arrives. The phrase is farm use only, or in some states, historic vehicle, or the nuclear option, classic car insurance. 3 words, different forms, same function. They move your vehicle out of the daily driver category and into a legal classification that emissions inspectors cannot touch. I'm going to break down exactly which loophole fits which situation, which states are fighting back against them, and why your 1995 vehicle is suddenly the most valuable garage asset you never knew you owned. First, understand the mechanism of the attack. OBD2 became mandatory in 1996. That standardized diagnostic port under your dash, the one that throws codes for gas caps and catalytic converter efficiency, that was the beginning of the end. Before 1996, vehicles ran on mechanical fuel injection, carburetors, distributor caps. They did not have a computer reporting their every breath to a state database. They could not be failed remotely. They could not be tracked.
That made them uncontrollable. And uncontrollable assets are the enemy of a system built on planned obsolescence. California started it. Assembly Bill 1493, the Clean Air Amendments, began floating language to eliminate the rolling 30-year emissions exemption. Other states follow California, always. If you live in a CARB-compliant state, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Vermont, Oregon, Washington, and the others, you are already living in the laboratory where they test this. The argument is environmental. The reality is economic. A 1995 vehicle has no monthly payment, no dealership service records, no telematics reporting its location to insurance underwriters. It is a black hole in the data economy, and they cannot tolerate black holes. So they manufacture the crisis. Older vehicles pollute more. False. A properly tuned 1992 Toyota 22RE with a catalytic converter runs cleaner at 200,000 miles than a 2020 EcoBoost F-150 towing a trailer with its turbo cooking oil past the piston rings. But the 1992 Toyota cannot be failed by software. The 2020 Ford can. That is the only difference that matters to the compliance officers. Now, the countermeasures. The 3-word loopholes. Option 1. Farm use only. Available in 38 states. Requires no commercial agriculture license in most jurisdictions. The vehicle must display plates marked for farm use, and technically you are restricted to travel to and from market or for agricultural purposes. The enforcement of this is nearly non-existent in rural counties. What matters is the classification. Farm use vehicles are exempt from emissions testing in Texas, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and most of the Midwest. The registration fee drops to $15 to $30 annually. You sacrifice some operational flexibility. You gain permanent immunity from the scanner. Option 2. Historic vehicle. The 25-year rule. Once your vehicle crosses that threshold, 2000 models are now eligible. You can apply for historic or antique plates. The restriction varies by state. Some require a minimum age of the vehicle, 25 or 30 years. Some require you to own a daily driver as your primary vehicle. The mileage cap is the trade-off, typically 2,500 to 5,000 miles annually. But here is what they do not advertise. The odometer disclosure is self-reported. The enforcement is non-existent unless you're involved in a collision. And the emissions exemption is absolute. In Virginia, a 1995 vehicle with historic plates cannot be subjected to any inspection beyond basic safety: brakes, lights, tires. The computer in Richmond does not know the car exists. Option 3. Classic car insurance. This is the loophole within the loophole. Companies like Hagerty, Grundy, and American Collectors offer policies that require historic or limited use registration. The policy itself becomes proof of status. Some states, Arizona, South Carolina, Montana, allow classic insurance declarations to override standard registration classifications. You are not a daily driver. You are a collector. Collectors do not get scanned. The states know about these workarounds. They are moving to close them. New Jersey attempted to cap historic registrations at 3,000 miles annually with GPS verification in 2023. The bill failed. California introduced legislation to require proof of garage space and secondary vehicle ownership for classic plates. It stalled in committee. The pushback was too loud. Too many voters with 1980s Chevrolets and 1990s Jeeps called their representatives. That tells you everything. They are afraid of the numbers. There are still 12 million pre-1996 vehicles registered in the United States. Every one that gets historic plates or farm tags is a vehicle that cannot be forced into the scrap cycle. It cannot be converted into a down payment on a 2026 model with a $900 monthly note and a subscription infotainment system. Here is the specific intelligence you need. If you own a 1994 to 1995 vehicle, you are in the kill zone. These are the last 2 model years before OBD2 standardization. They have the most sophisticated engine management possible without the standardized port. They drive better than 1980s carbureted trucks. They last longer than 2000s-era disposable sedans. And they are the primary target of the modernization efforts because they are still practical daily drivers. The state wants them off the road specifically because they are too good, too reliable, too independent. The 1994-1995 Ford F-150 with the 300 cubic inch inline 6 and the OBD1 EEC-IV system. The 1995 Jeep Cherokee with the 4.0L AMC inline 6, arguably the most durable SUV engine ever built in America. The 1994 Toyota pickup with the 22RE, the final year of the bulletproof fuel injection before the Tacoma redesign. These vehicles are not classics to the people who drive them. They are tools, they are bank accounts on wheels, and they are being hunted. Check your registration status now. If you are in a state with pending emissions rule changes, Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada are the next targets. You have a window. Apply for historic plates before the threshold changes. Document your mileage. Photograph your odometer. Create a paper trail that establishes your vehicle as a collector asset, not a commuter appliance. The three-word loophole is not a permanent solution. It is a holding action. It buys you time while the fight over right to repair expands into right to drive. The same manufacturers who lock farmers out of their tractors want to lock you out of your garage. They want transportation as a service, not a possession. They want you paying forever for something you never own. Your pre-1996 vehicle is a receipt, proof that they once built machines you could control. The state wants to confiscate that receipt. Use the loophole. Get the plates, stack the paperwork, and when they come for the scanner, you tell them three words that still mean something. Not my classification. We broke down the specific engine codes and failure points for the last unkillable pre-OBD2 trucks in a previous episode. That video is available now. Subscribe if you are not already, because next week we are releasing the state-by-state exemption map, the exact counties where farm use registration still works, and the inspection stations that will pass a visual-only safety check without the computer interrogation. You do not want to miss that list. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell right now. Stop letting them tax your right to turn a wrench. I'll see you in the next one.